Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. After jumping through Hathaway recently in the Penelope and that Minovsky flight system, and then even recently watching F91, I was very interested in the lore behind how we got from something like as big as we did with the Penelope to something as miniature as the F91. So we'll dive into some of the lore of the Minovsky technology. All right, quick timeline context here. At UC 105, Hathaway's Flash, that's where we see the Penelope and the Kasai. The Penelope being the bigger Odysseus Gundam with the fixed flight unit that makes it the Penelope. That flight unit is the Minovsky flight unit to allow it to have the atmospheric flight. In the Kasai, it's built in. I talked about that recently on the Kasai versus Penelope video. Again, that was UC 0105, and then we get to UC 0120 to 123. This is when we get into the F91, the Formula Project era. That's roughly 15 to 18 years between the Penelope and F91, about the same time span as the jump from the RX-78 to New Gundam. So think about that, from the RX-78 to the New Gundam, and then from the Penelope to the F91. Okay, some background on the craft system, and then we'll jump into the specifics from each mobile suit. The Minovsky craft system allowed a spaceship or heavy ground vehicle to fly or hover on Earth. The Principality of Zeon was slow to make use of this principle, and only units equipped with Minovsky craft system during One Year War were the MAX-03 Adzam and the 3 prototype Apsilus mobile armors. However, the Earth Federation was quick to adopt the system on its Pegasus-class assault carriers. This allowed the Pegasus class to enter and exit Earth's atmosphere and to fly while inside the atmosphere. So there is your technological explanations for like flight and how it's used. And I think with the technology of the Minovsky particle and how it's been used here, it really makes sense. This system could not be miniaturized to fit on a mobile suit until after UC 0100. The first MS equipped with such a device is the Penelope from Hathaway's Flash, which is comprised of the RX-104 Odysseus Gundam combined with its fixed flight support unit. The Kasai Gundam, which appeared in the same series, also equipped the device. However, it is fully integrated into its structure. Even then, both units are much larger than most suits. Eventually, the Minovsky craft system design would be overhauled and upgraded into the Minovsky Drive, the first of its kind being built into the ship Mother Vanguard of the Crossbone Vanguard as a system nicknamed the Sail of Light. So to break that down with the Penelope, this is again around UC 0105. The key tech philosophy here is brute force, Minovsky flight heavy armor, Psychomu hybrids. Minovsky flight system, the Penelope was one of the first Earth-based MS capable of sustained atmospheric flight without external aid thanks to Minovsky craft technology, miniaturization, but it required massive power output and bulky generator systems. The fixed flight unit, so this again, the Odysseus with the optional armor on it, the fixed flight unit. The core Odysseus Gundam is the main mobile suit. The Penelope unit is the detachable armor providing flight and additional weapons, a precursor to modular concept seen later in the Formula Project. Psychomu support, pilots like Lane, AIM, and Hathaway relied on limited Psychomu assisted systems for funnels, remote bits, and advanced sensor feedback, showing the Federation was experimenting with new type derived tech, even outside the pure new type weapons programs. So here are the drawbacks: immense weight, poor maintainability, limited flight time, and massive cost. Essentially, the Penelope was a transitional beast, like a flying battleship disguised as a mobile suit. And during this time, there were these attempts to miniaturize. We had postscripts in Neo-Zeon War. The Federation realized it couldn't sustain massive MS projects indefinitely after multiple large-scale wars. Budget and logistics favored smaller, cheaper, faster suits. Remember the Lotto that showed up? That was a pretty cool one from Unicorn. Minovsky physics refinement, reactor and I-field efficiency drastically improved, power density increased, allowing smaller MS to produce similar or superior energy output to their larger predecessors. That's another reason why we get those beam shields and more like kind of beam melee technology later on. The biocomputer AI assist systems, the evolution of Psychomu into systems usable by non-new types. This directly led to the biocomputer used in the F91. It replaced psychic control with biosensor feedback and motion reading assistance. Armor materials, ECAP, and beam-resistant materials improved, making smaller suits as survivable as their heavier ancestors, which leads into the F91 Formula Project in the UC 0120s. Key tech philosophy: compact is power. Miniaturization completed at just 15.2 meters tall. The F91 was roughly 2/3 the size of the Penelope, yet had comparable or greater output. So the F91 generators at 4,000 kilowatts and the Kasai Penelope is 5 to 6,000. But as it mentions here, that's distributed across a larger mass, whereas the F91 had a smaller frame to work with. And then the biocomputer system. So not only with the Minovsky flight system, but a natural evolution from Saikamu. It reads pilot biometrics and reflex data, allowing response speeds beyond human manual control, the basis of the F91's metal peel-off effect mode. So, and I still find this interesting, and I still want to dive into this, but it seems like Saikamu technology was very specific to new types, whereas a biocomputer seems to be more general, but also works with new types as well. It would be interesting to see the pros and cons of that. So the MEPE system we're just talking about converts excess heat into a cloaking and after image effect, both a defensive measure and side effect of extreme system efficiency. And then that became the Formula Project standardization. The F91 wasn't just a prototype. It was the Federation's blueprint for all next-generation mobile suits designed for mass production under the SNRI Formula Project. So to get an idea of the shifts in design, we had from the Grips era, so that would say UC 0087 to 100, the design philosophy, power, and new type potential. And we saw things like the Zeta, the Nu, the Sazabi. During the Hathaway's Flash era, UC 0105, heavy Minovsky flight and Saikamu hybrids, that's Penelope and Kasai. And then we get to the Formula era, UC 0120s, and that's where we get the efficiency, miniaturization, human-machine symbiosis, that's F91, and later in the Crossbone Gundams. So that was a quick explanation of the in-universe lore of the technology that got us from the Penelope, the massive Minovsky flight system hybrid, to the F91, smaller, more miniaturized, but still powerful and can interface with the human mind, new type, old type alike. So let me know what you think. Are you a fan of the bigger or the smaller? I think I like them both because they're both extreme ends of the technology within Gundam, and you can see the context within the time period. Obviously, this stuff was done out of universe for selling model kits, but I love how they were able to make it make sense within the universe and the lore and the technology and everything. So anyway, guys, all thanks for watching. Thanks to the supporters that make this possible. If that's something you're interested in, check the links in the description below. There's also a link for our Discord. We have a lot of fun there. But until next time, be cool.